What's going on, brothers and sisters? Thanks so much for tuning in to another one of my Faith and Focus videos where you'll catch me here on Sundays. It's always my prayer that not only you would be challenged, but that I would be challenged as well. And so today I want to speak with you about idolatry. When I think about idolatry, I think about putting something or anything, even a person, before God. God should always be our number one. And I understand that if we don't know the Lord, it's hard to place him as number one, but this is why it's so important that we learn and share about who Jesus is, because Jesus is our source of life. So I'm studying right now the book of Judges, and I'm just going to kind of go through a brief overview about what I studied and what I'm learning personally in my walk. And so again, feel free to comment or drop anything that you maybe want to point out. I'm still growing. I'm still learning, just like we all are. And so I'm learning about this guy, Gideon. But before that, the Israelites, or God's people, they're like in a circle. So these guys are literally being set free and delivered from their bondage. And then all of a sudden they go right back into their vomit. They go right back again. And then God sends them someone to deliver them, and they get delivered. And then they just do the whole circle again, and they go back into captivity or go into a bondage. And so we're at chapter 8, and in verse 22, I'm going to read it. It says, "Then the men of Israel said to Gideon, 'Rule over us,'" because Gideon had just been used by God to break them free from bondage. "Both you and your son and your grandson also, for you have delivered us from the hand of Midian." But Gideon said to them, "I will not rule over you, nor shall my son rule over you. The Lord shall rule over you." And so I'll stop right there. When I was reading this, the most important thing is that when we are leading people in Christ, whether it's our family members or people in a ministry, we should always remember to be humble and understand that it's not us that is taking ownership of whatever situation we're involved in. It's all because of Jesus and what his spirit has allowed us to do. So we shouldn't take any credit or any glory for the things that are happening in our lives. It's simply because of God. So Gideon is being humble here, and he's like, okay, I'm not going to take all this, I'm not going to get puffed up here, which is great. But the problem is that he tries to do something that actually turned out to be a trap. The Bible calls it a snare for him and his people. I'm going to read it real quick. So it pretty much, instead of being their king, he actually asked them to give them their earrings, which was a whole bunch of gold. And Gideon ended up asking it from them, and they said, "Of course, I'll give it to you." But it was worth a lot of money. In verse 25 here, they answered, they said, "We will gladly give them the earrings." And they spread out a garment, and each man threw into it the earrings from his plunder. Now the weight of the gold earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, besides the crescent ornaments, pendants, and purple robes, which were on the kings of Midian, and besides the chains that were around the camel's neck. And then in verse 27, this is where it gets crazy. Then Gideon made it into an ephod and set it up in his city, Ophrah. And all Israel played the harlot with it there. It became a snare to Gideon and to his house. So again, I haven't went to school for seminary, so I'm not very knowledgeable in all these things. But what I do know is that an ephod is only for the high priest. Okay, so the ephod is like this outfit that these priests wear. And Gideon decided to make an ephod out of, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, ephod or ephod, but he decided to make this ephod with the earrings that were given to him. And I don't know his heart. Maybe his heart was right. Maybe he wanted it to be symbolic of the thing that God has done. But what happened was it was a trap, because it so happens that God's people looked at that thing and they idolized it. And so it brings me back to like things that are going on today. There's a lot of people that use pictures or items as memory of what God has done. And so that's great. But what happens is we have to be careful that we don't let those things bring us into idolatry, where we put it before God. Maybe we get the house that that we prayed for, or we get the job that we prayed for, and that's great, but it's very important not to fall for the trap that we let that thing become more important than God and we lose sight, because this is exactly what happened. But first of all, before they even got to the point, Gideon should have asked God if he was going to go ahead and make that a thing, because he made it a thing so that everyone can see it in the city. And so first of all, he had to consult God, which obviously he didn't, and it was a downfall. And so again, I just want to just kind of encourage you, brothers and sisters, be careful of idolatry, because it's so easy for us to fall for the trap of putting something in front of God. And it's even worse when we see God did something for us, and then that thing that God allowed us to have or conquer, we put that with a genuine heart maybe, but it ends up being a trap for us. And so we got to be careful. Idolatry is a big no-no. Remember that God is number one. We have to remember who the Lord is and what he's done. And all these items and all these possessions, they don't mean anything. The most important thing is Jesus and our relationship with him. And so it's good to have these memories, but let's not get so drawn away from God to that point. And so, brothers and sisters, if you're listening to this, my encouragement to you is don't fall for the trap of idolatry, okay? Nothing is more important than your relationship with God. Forget about the picture, forget about the item, forget about whatever it is that God's allowed you to conquer. That is great, but don't worry about it as much as you look to God in everything. Let his spirit guide you. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Next week or the following week, I should be back. And hopefully if you liked it, drop a comment or like this video. And hopefully I will catch you, Lord willing, on the next one. God bless you guys.